Greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott, and oops, little amateur hour there. I want to welcome everybody. I have dropped the link to the panel for those who are present, wish to join. Today, the topic I wanted to discuss is finding a why behind everything. On Instagram and Facebook, I shared one of my quotes: love and faith feel better than hate and fear. Love and faith feel better than hate and fear. Duh, no brainer, right? Each moment of each day we get to choose. So what might change in your own life if love and faith became the primary why behind your choices? Hey, we'll start it off here. Welcome, Tommy. I know I got a text from you, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, was that text the amateur hour thing at the beginning there?
It was just before that.
Oh, okay, because I was like giving me an idea of how long that takes to process through the airwaves or means of
No,
travel.
the amateur hour was I didn't turn down the YouTube on my phone.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to come up before any kind of tone was established for the day and just remind the people, like, when we think of that guy that said he's the way, the truth, and the light, and when we think of like the truth always winning and not fearing, uh, don't forget to look at who's mod godding the most around here, who will not let a sentence get out, even if they're the ones that ask the question, and they won't let you get half a word out to reply. That is not the signs of truth by any discernment.
Hey, can I get back to some of this topic?
Oh, Jack, I know that felt a little close to home and sketchy, but you know I was talking about the daddied one. You know I meant, even if you
I
can
know.
relate
Hey,
to those
hey,
complaints.
Tommy. Small minds talk about people, right?
Oh, that's different. That's gossip. I'm in a spiritual
Right.
war.
Tom, here and now, please,
Day after
blessings.
day.
Welcome, Cynthia. Good to see you, my.
Oh, I gotta go.
Hi
This girl,
guys.
she
Hey.
likes my newest video. She has no idea what's coming for her.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Hey Jack, I wanted to touch in with you real quick before you started your show. I saw yesterday you were wanting to turn it on the subscribers only.
Yes.
Oh, are you using your phone?
Well, I was trying it on the PC, but how do you do it?
Well, I don't know how to do it on the PC. I only know how to do it on your phone.
You can do it on the phone?
Go to your chat real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're gonna see that little
Yeah.
that circle thing. Hit that. And then tell me what are the two things that says community moderation?
There you go.
Hit that now.
Participant mode. Holy
And
cow.
now go to subscribers.
Yeah, you see that.
And so if you put it on a minute, this is what I found from personal experience. A minute gives them a time to respond to still be on the subject matter. So that way they're not responding to something you said 5, 10, 15 minutes prior, if they're new subscribers. But if they're just on troll shit and you're tired of the chat, make it you have to be a member for 48 hours. And that way that really limits who can chat with you. Okay.
Hey, blessings, Cynthia.
All
Thank
right.
you
You
so
have a great
much.
show tonight.
Hey, I appreciate that. You're welcome here, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, if you're ever in trouble and you feel overwhelmed, blink rapidly and I'll pop up. Don't even have to say anything. And I'll clear a house for you. Just blink rapidly, okay?
Cynthia, respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Holy cows. Hey, that right there, I truly do appreciate that. I was wondering how people were getting that done. So in the future, if things get a little chaotic again, which I'm hoping it won't, I really do feel pretty good about a lot of things, about the familiarity, some of the names, and some of the newer names that I'm seeing showing up. And I'm seeing a lot of growth. I'm learning a lot. As a matter of fact, Cynthia, if you're still listening, I think I caught you on Z's stream this morning. I admired that conversation with both of you. And it gave me a different idea of how maybe I didn't see much of the past, but things on God has a mystery. God works. God is mysterious. Just praise be. There's a way that things just happen to reveal themselves and to unfold. And, I've seen a lot of confusion from many different people, not just directed at me, but lots of people being misrepresented and in different stories and narratives. So I have understanding and empathy for that. I was reminded today, though, in one of my, one of those higher realm discussions today, and it was talking about, the spiritual path we are on. All of us are on our own uniquely created spiritual path and a progression of life through time. And as I understand, it kind of makes sense to me that, in this life, in this realm we live in, because of the patterns and what we've been taught, time appears to be linear, right? Just moves forward one direction at a slow, continuous pace. But time is a mystery. It's far more than what we've understood. And the Machine Lies and I recently had a conversation about time. But our time here on Earth with each other, it's limited. It's finite, right? We recognize within each of us there's a beginning and an end. But what brings us forth into life is eternal and it's divine. And the world, our ancestors, and the society we were born into, well, particularly here in the modern Western world, we've been misled. We've been taught wrong. And it's quite obvious when you can step back, detach, and kind of think about things. Everything is energy, right? Our basic school sciences teach us, how atoms and molecules and all of this forms. And, the physics teaches us about some of the states and properties of different energies, different chemicals, different compounds, matters, right? Gas, liquid, solid. It's all forms of energy. Our entire life is a sensory experience of different energetic states and different dynamics of being. But there's a consistency that runs through all of us in the progression of our life from child to adolescent to adult and beyond. There's a divine force. Well, the religions call it God, but it's a, where was I going with this? I apologize. Well, back to the topic of finding a why. If the divine forces of time and energies brought us forth into being, which is what has happened, right? Layers and layers of time and events and changes has brought us forth into this world that we're co-creating together. We're not just surviving together. We're not just cohabitating together. We are co-creating this society, this entire world together. It doesn't have to be so combative. It doesn't have to be so costly. So I believe. See, if you look at the evolution, and there is an evolution and a growth, a progression, a change that's come forth, you know, through the collective consciousness of society, the way that people interact with commerce, communications, those things have grown. You know, and there was one time where there was no recognized right for freedom of speech to speak against the rulers. Well, the systems we've got today, they are designed for systemic profits. Systemic profits built into the structures of our commerce and our economics, politics, and well, does that include religion? I won't pursue that, but the systemic profits built into these systems have reinforced the nature of greed that is innately held within us. The idea of spiritual ascension, emotional growth, emotional maturity is overcoming the reactive nature, the evil nature, the cruel nature, the ignorant, ignorant nature of who we are. We are born into this realm with we've got like a clean slate and a dark veil of ignorance. It's right there. And that's part of our growth is we get the gifts of discovery, you know, learning new things. It's like that aha moment. Oh, now I get it. And those things are fun. And then you get to share new knowledge with other people. That's the progression of humanity. It's knowledge that has brought us forth into the comforts and technologies that we have today. As with all things in this realm, this world we live in, everything created can be used for good or evil, for the betterment of life or for the destruction of life, the destruction and limitation of life. And so within each of us is a why. Why are we here? And if we don't question why we do the things we do, why we purchase the things we do, if we don't question why, who's in charge? Right? The why of our choices is where the meaning is revealed. I hope this is making sense. Hey, my thoughts really just came back to you guys. I've noticed, and I swear, this is more confirmation of my belief. I see the numbers of subscribers has already grown again, and I'm confident that there are angels guiding my path, and many of you know who you are. Thank you for the angels I have in my life, and even for those I don't know about. But I did want to point out, please, the link is pinned to the top. Kind and loving participants are welcome to join. And thank you, Jack. This is why I this is why I did this. I forgot where these thoughts were coming from. Shunyamurti reminded me today, this path we're on, the survival mindset, the scarcity mindset that drives the economic power of our world. The mindset of fear and scarcity and lack is what drives selfishness. And the ego is always seeking to feel safe and secure, enough resources, enough whatever. And, but for the fearful, there's never enough. So the idea is to seek freedom from the ego. Seek freedom from the desires that create your suffering, that, create the conflicts in your life. Free yourself from those desires and find gratitude for all the desires you're able to fill. Because when you are fulfilled, when you are whole, when you are complete, you're set apart from whatever is. And all we are, brothers and sisters, is just perspectives of time, sharing time together. And the question is always going to come down to, what are we going to do? What are we going to do for the rest of our lives? Should they continue? What do we want to do? Where do we want to see ourselves in the future? What do we want to learn? And then the core question behind all of those things is why? Why do we want this in the future? Why do we want to learn this? Why do we want to experience this? When your why is like far beyond just you, when your why is truly in service of others and the greater world, I think that's when the spirits and the angels come in. So it's said. I know my why. My why seems pretty obvious. Wouldn't you like a world without wars and debts? I mean, a world without conflicts and oppression? Constant news of genocide and, disasters and murders in the news. Wouldn't it be nice to be free of all those things? To create a world where we're truly proud to bring the next generation forward into? I know I had those thoughts. My ex-wife and I, we had those conversations. Our son was born in 2002, right after the nonsense and mysteries of New York City. We were wondering, is it wise to bring forth an innocent child into this world? We selfishly made that choice to do so. And, life is what it is. But I'm so grateful for the life that I've been given, the life that we've all been allowed to share. Learning about this Mother Earth, the power of the elements, right? Because that's what we are. We are nature living unnaturally. Fellow humans have found ways to mine and refine and separate and create all sorts of amazing, incredible things. But I've been looking at some of the news, apparently there's like these forever chemicals, these I don't remember which ones they are, the BPAs or whatever. There's these friggin' chemicals that are being found in everyone's bloodstreams, microplastics being found everywhere. There are mountains of trash being shipped all around this planet. Humanity is literally out of its freaking mind, man. Humanity is literally out of its mind. Tommy, brother, if you're still there, you're welcome to join back should you want. And actually, anyone is welcome to click the link. My thoughts today were regarding, and Sarah, if you're available, I reviewed yesterday's stream again. And it was kind of ironic when I felt the feelings of unsettled and disappointed. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Jack.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, Tom, before I bring you up, in reviewing the stream yesterday, I noticed my disappointment and stuff. It was at the exact same time that the answer was being revealed. I was fixed. I had an attachment to results. But now you brought up some things that I don't know if I've quite wrapped my mind around what you were saying regarding the demonic archetype and using it intentionally rather than having it drawn out.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain it some more?
If you could, a little bit, please.
Okay. So the demon function is the one that's in opposition to our lead function, the hero guy in our ego. So basically the one we like using and the one we don't want to use unless we decide we want to. So if we don't want to use our demon function, we can become angry or irritable or frustrated or hate the person that's wanting us to use it. Like yesterday, who was the guy that didn't want us to use God? What was his name?
I think it was Brett.
Brett. So you and him have the opposite. He likes to be in the reality, in the world, what's happening in your face. And he's not so keen on talking about the metaphysical world and things that you can't see with your eyes. Okay. And he was getting irritated and frustrated every time we would go back to the metaphysical world. Okay. So you are the opposite of him. You love being in the metaphysical world and talking about the what ifs and what could be and everything that's going on in the spiritual world, and not necessarily so much with the physical world. Even though you recognize it, you understand it, and you can go there. But unless you want to go there, you can get irritable and frustrated, and there's a little bit of anger in the undertones. But that's just the shadow, because as soon as you decide you want to talk about those things, it dissipates and you no longer project those demonic attributes onto others. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay.
I think it does. Thank you very much. Tommy, thank you for your patience. How you doing,
And
brother?
it is that virtue I have to exercise and am exercising today. Because I was going to get you, Jack. You literally said, come on back up. And then you were going to let me sit here to listen to this girl ramble on with her already dismissed BS.
I'm trying to improve, and she's offering, very insightful observations, I think.
Listen, she can offer things that might be true that she read, but when she just starts, like she's pulling a Cynthia, where she's probably been here all of 13 days. She's already trying to tell us who we are. She doesn't realize that she's walking in on layers of Game of Thrones that started back when you and I met on Paul's bullshit channel. We're still in that civil war.
I have a different perception. I think Sarah is very intuitive and very aware, and she doesn't get caught up in, doesn't allow too many of the layers to cause confusion.
No,
That's my,
how can she allow layers to cause confusion if she's unaware of those layers?
well, because sometimes those layers really don't matter. They're
They
kind of
very much
irrelevant.
do. They very much do.
Well, the
Now,
past.
if you mean in the context that I gave Lou, remember when Lou Bass tried to say that the Canadian trucker convoy was sent by Castro Jr., aka the Prime Minister of Canada? And I said, Lou, how many layers of espionage do you put on before you're just the other team? Like, how many do you have to do before you realize, oh, I'm just the team that's against me? I've added so many espionage layers.
Tommy, would it help if I broke you down? Let you know
Oh,
that I kind of understand how your mind is wired to
I'm
understand.
here to tell you, you don't, whether it be by your psychological reasoning or the fact that a vagina possessing creature thinks she can figure out a
Hey,
guy.
hey, Tommy.
Jack, before
For-
you get mad, have you
for-
seen her showing on Paul's panel about the MK Ultra? Are you interacting with this girl without watching the MK Ultra
Do you not
conversation?
believe in MK Ultra, Tommy?
Oh, I very much believe in it. I believe in the process of abusing a person that's whacked out of their mind on chemicals until they're so traumatized they
That's
create an
the old
alternate
version of
personality.
MK. They're not. They don't
What do you
need
mean the old
LSD or
version?
trauma
Tom,
anymore. They use frequencies. It's called
Stop
harmonics. The
Stop
new
it.
version of MK Ultra is called harmonics.
The only frequency I have mind to worry people about is this died suddenly frequency where you can see a collaboration of people in their regular everyday lives who suddenly just drop into a convulsion and die. That is what I
Hey,
think
Tom.
the frequency weapon is.
Hey, Tom.
They do have a weapon like that.
Well, don't try and agree with me right now because I think you're fucking crazy.
No,
Hey,
I
Tom.
actually have the patent for it on my computer. Go ahead, I'll find it while you do your thing.
Oh, don't bother.
Actually, Tom, I'm actually interested because we could at least entertain Tom, and maybe this could
Right,
be
but
a
that's not
learning.
why. See, the only
If
issue that's
Sarah
not
broke
really
you
your
down.
fault. The only issue is you told me to come back up here, and had I known you were going to drop her in, I wouldn't have bothered. I wanted
Okay.
to come up and see if you'd want to do a little session of just maybe saying the quiet part out loud where I respond to some chat things.
Oh, yeah, I'd rather not.
All right, I'll catch you when you do. DJM, the reason nobody's talking about that video is because they're haters, and it is the kickoff to the Panelverse anime crossover, and the next installment I'm working on now will involve the movie Idiocracy. Peace.
You fascinate me, brother. You truly fascinate me.
The thing he was talking about, where they can basically paralyze you to your death, the silent sound spread spectrum. It's SSSS, sometimes called the S squad or the squad. It's basically where if you like go into a certain area and you breach like a secure area where they don't want you to go any further, they'll put out this pulse of sound that basically creates this havoc where you just curl up in a ball. And it's like, imagine a dog hearing a sound that's so high pitched that they whine and they can't move and they freak out. Like that's sort of what they're doing to humans. And so they don't go into areas they're not supposed to go into. They have that all over the place. That patent's from 92.
It's like a invisible fence used for dogs type of thing.
Yeah, but rather than an electrical shock, it's a shock, like a frequency sent to the brain.
I go back 6 years ago. I had little even thought about some of these things, the way technologies, frequencies can be used, are being used, some of the sciences that are out there. I think it was before you showed up. I was talking about the veil of ignorance. That veil of ignorance was heavy on me for a lot of my life.
Mhm.
So I understand how dark the world can seem. I understand how utterly alone you can feel. But that's our mind. That's our ego mind.
Yep, you're never alone, Jack.
Amen.
Never alone. Even if you're physically alone, there are thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of spiritual beings all around you and everyone that you're connected to.
Well, yes. And there's, you know, our human minds, the limits on it can be convincing and absolutely foolish, right? Because the observation, the feeling of being alone. I live in a big town. There's like literally people everywhere. So, and the reality is, I know most people are genuine and caring. Oh, this is totally off where we were talking, Sarah, but
That's all right.
the idea of safety. This is where I was thinking regarding some of these conflicts and personalities I've been interacting with here online.
Mhm.
When people feel safe, I think they're more authentic. I think the characters come out when they're insecure and
Mhm.
and then holy cows, it's just a battle over
Shadow versus shadow projecting.
yes.
Mhm.
So any suggestions on helping others feel safe? Because well,
Oh,
and here
well,
I'm sorry.
that's gonna depend because it's different for everyone what makes them feel safe. Because some people can feel super safe about telling anything personal about themselves, but the moment they feel an emotion, they feel weak and vulnerable and they go into fight or flight. Whereas others are perfectly capable of expressing their emotions, but hide anything personal about themselves so they stay superficial. Does that make sense?
I think so. They say stay superficial because
They don't want you to really know them until they feel safe with you, but they can be emotional. They can show their tears and sadness, their happiness or whatever on their face, but they'll have boundaries about the actual information about them. Whereas others will share the information freely, but be terrified of you knowing how they really feel.
holy cows. That's how I was. I'd share any information except what was true about how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was guilt and shame that it's guilt. I think it's guilt and shame that keeps us from being authentic. And the guilt and shame comes from our lack of respect for what is true. That, well,
I think it's more about
very
fear of
true.
rejection and abandonment. If someone really knew the truth about me, how could they really love me? I can't even love myself. I feel guilt and shame. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel valuable. I think it's more along those lines of people are lacking self-love.
That's the key. I mean, here's where I sit. I think if we present facts to other people in a logical, reasonable fashion, that they can be understood. Sarah, the entire structures of government and economics has literally driven humanity insane. I can prove it. It's easy to prove. So the solution for The solution for insanity is knowledge, the truth. Knowledge dissolves confusion. Well, it also
Now,
builds.
what about in a society where they're censoring truth and providing you with info that's misinformation, or you have all of this conflicting information, but they don't provide you with the details to know which one's correct? Then what do you do?
That's exactly where we're at, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's your information warfare.
Well, this is honestly, this is the thought process I've kind of gone through on my own. And I realize I do not know. I do not know what is true. I do not know the intentions or purposes of others. But I know that when I stopped allowing myself excuses and blame, I felt better. And then I made the connection. Oh shit, it's truth that actually heals. So if it can work for me, it can work for the greater community. If people stop lying to each other. Seriously, it's that simple. We can figure out what is true.
If we have all the information.
True. And it comes down to the relevance. What information is relevant to me and my choices? And then why? Why is that relevant? Why do I think that? As I'm saying those words, I'm considering how does that apply to some of the other things I'm saying? Like with budgets. We've got budgets and authority that control the majority of the population. And it's really authority. Go ahead.
I was going to say the people, at least in the government, Congress, who controls this budget that they never get done on time, that's never actually hits budget. They're all bankrupt and they've had credit issues out the ass. Like, they shouldn't be running our country's budget because they can't run their own budgets. So
that's, well, it's all an illusion. It is truly all an illusion. It's been, what's that game? The Monte Carlo game, maybe? Whatever.
I don't know that one.
The shifting of the shells, the shell game where you move them around. Which one's real? What's really going on? Guys, the corruption. Yesterday we had the conversation. One of the arguments against, pursuing ending secrets is that all the information is available. The majority of information is available for those who seek. But people have been I think people have been taught to be afraid of knowledge, right?
Well, we've certainly been taught to not think critically and just accept what we're told.
Amen. That's what it was. 3-card money. That's what I was trying to think of. Thank you, CIA. Flo, are you there?
I'm here. I just was, you guys were in the middle of just wasn't trying to barge.
Hey, respect. Well, I've been saying that the entire corruption comes from the reinforcement of greed, and greed is reinforced through the systems. So I think the solution is to fix the systems so that greed is no longer enabled and rewarded. And we could start celebrating the generosity of others. Wouldn't that be easy and fun to do?
No, and maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what the future's going to bring, but brothers and sisters, what I found helpful for myself is kind of the things I've been talking about. the topic, finding a why. If you can find a why within yourself, why are you doing what you do? The why, when we get a solid why within us, why we're doing the things we're doing, man, there's nothing that can hold us back. We'll overcome any what's or any how's. Lou Bass. Lou Bass, golly geez. Oh, one of the things I was reminded and I started talking about earlier is no reason for sympathy. No reason for sympathy regarding the levels of ignorance.
When you say sympathy, do you mean pity?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yes, that is a good correction.
Okay.
Pity. Pity comes from judgment, and judgment, man. I found it much easier to surrender my judgment, to surrender me, and constantly wonder why and what. Why did I learn these things today? Why is this available? What am I available to do? What can be done? Nachiketa.
What's up, Jack? How's it going, Sarah?
Welcome.
Hello.
Flow state.
Nach, what's up?
Hey, it's good to see you back and around. You're elsewhere in other lands, and I thought you went through some sort of disaster. You guys doing all right there? Am I right?
That was a couple months ago, but everything's fine now.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I hadn't seen you for a while, and
I've been kind of reclusive lately, but decided to come and join and say hello. So, but I was thinking though, you were asking about the, like why and greed and these kind of like, human conditions. And, I think I agree with you in terms of sentiment of wanting to do good for society and, thinking along the, trying to think about like, what the right approach is. But I think sometimes it's good to be kind of realistic in terms of, what's happening in the world and, why we have found ourselves to be where we are, as a quote unquote society. And in terms of like what we say in Vipassana, you got to see reality for what it is and not what you want it to be. And then you got to kind of go from there, in my humble opinion.
yes, you got to see reality for what it is, not what you want it to be. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
I kind of mentioned that. I recognize that. I am recognizing that more and more, in that there's truly a power within us that we see what we want to see. Now, it may not physically change what is there, but it certainly change. When we have a belief within us, our mind will identify the stuff that fits into that. And so it's our awareness that is really affected by what we believe. If we believe the world is out to get us, guess what we're going to be watching for? All sorts of enemies and all sorts of dangers. But if you believe the world is here for you to explore, to discover, to transform, holy cows, you'll start seeing evidence of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant, Nach? I think that you just took what Nach said and pivoted it into the opposite.
I may have.
Well,
But
I think we have all examples here. I mean, there are people who are quote unquote successful and doing well. I think if you are speaking in terms of quote unquote manifestation, a lot of people talk about this kind of stuff, right? Like bringing things to reality. Uh, in my opinion, I think people who exemplify it should be able to speak about it, and people who are not quite there should probably, not talk about it as
Jesus.
much.
And with that statement, we'd have to shut down every channel in this panelverse if we say only those who know should speak on it. I agree, Nachiketa, but it would justify shutting down every
Good
channel
to
we visit.
good to see you, Tommy. And
Not
obviously
likewise.
we
I
don't.
want to ask you about a little discrepancy. I see Yolanda cheering for your presence down there in the chat. And I don't think Yolanda knows you're like a primary Paul sympathizer, and that's a very deep discretion there.
I don't know who Yolanda is. I don't even know if she
Oh,
knows
she's
who
a
I am.
refugee from We Are Asleep TV. And she remembers you. You don't remember her.
Hey, Jack, you know who Do Good is?
Okay.
Moose,
Chris
if you are
Duguid.
getting on the Tom train of truth, why do I still see people referencing you, but I don't see your chats?
Tom, please allow Moose to finish what he was saying. What were you saying?
No, I was up here to talk to you,
Who
Jack.
is-
We
who
love
is-
Sophia, right, Jack?
Yeah, everybody loves Sophia, but
Okay, so if
Chris Duguid
Sophia,
from
if
Minds is
Sophia
here, and I
had
thought
a
that was pretty
heroin
cool. He
problem,
came to support your channel. He's been watching ever since I shared it, and I think that's pretty cool of him to be here for you.
oh, are
Respect.
you
Thank you,
doing
Moose.
the
Thank
pineal
you.
thing?
No, sorry, Tommy, I wasn't trying to cut you off, brother.
No, I was just asking if you're doing the pineal thing. Remember when pineal went through that phase of like, I found this guy, I found him, everybody. Season 1 pineal. No, Jack,
Okay.
Moose, if we love Cynthia, or, almost misspoke hardcore. If we love Sophia, and Sophia at one time had a heroin problem, we wouldn't just toss her more heroin, would we? So I think on that note, we might want to pull that wrench. I love Sophia, but it looks like she's losing her shit again on this wrench thing.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your observations, Tommy. I appreciate that.
Jack, it's a wonderful Talcott Tuesday. What is Tuesday without Talcott, right?
Just Taco Tuesday, and that ain't shit.
Not where you're from, because you don't get real tacos like I do, but I understand.
Bro.
Talcott's better than the taco.
I
That's
have
something
the best taco.
I used to love tacos, man. It's not quite the same with lentils. It's close, but not quite the same. Talcott Tuesday. It's a fun day. And the why for me, the why is why not? Why not go online and share a panel, share some conversation, see what we might be able to discover or encourage? I mean, we're all sharing time, the viewers, those who tune in now, tune in later. We're all experiencing this crazy time of a lot of I don't know the right accurate word to describe what I see. The dysfunction, the disease, the toxicity, the darkness, or the beauty, the opportunities, the potential. Oh, there it is. There is so much potential coming forth, brothers and sisters, for us, for each of us, all of us, a better future.
It is the great unveiling that is being experienced by everybody here, and the people who are waking up. The reality was already there. It's just that vast majority of people were unaware of it, and we have had kind of like societal resets and such, calamities and catastrophes of the past, and people have kind of, they have this kind of amnesia about who they are and where they come from, and you know, some of the people are starting to see through the veils a little bit, and you know, it's always going to be a disproportionate number of people who are going to be able to process it and understand it for what it is. You know, we're just kind of here as a witness, you can say, to the unveiling of things. I'm not entirely sure how much, you know, quote unquote, we can do about it. You know, I mean, it's good to talk things out and see where you are at, you know, where the individuals are at in terms of, um, you know, their understanding of what's going on and, you know, how they feel about things. But, you know, besides that, you know, I just try to work on myself. I don't know about anybody else.
Brother, I love what you said. I see myself one with the all that is, with all others, and so working on myself includes everything that I can influence and control, and I can only control me. But I am hoping to grow on social media and hopefully reach some greater platforms, and I do have hopes of bringing an influence into this world, because I don't know where the limits of our power truly begin or end. I honestly, if I'm humbly honest, I don't know. But we are observers, but we are also very important participants in the process of creation. And I think we all have the ability to embrace our responsibility, to accept our accountability as co-creators. We co-create everything we experience, between co-creating within ourselves, with our egoic, logical, worldly mind, and our spirit. We're co-creating. And then we're co-creating physically everything with each other.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, we are creators, and you know, I I think Edgar Casey said that, you know, 20% of the things that are attributed to karma, you know, like past events and stuff like that. So rest of it is kind of based upon the individuals to kind of decide with their quote unquote free will to, you know, bring about the. But you know, these conversations and whatever that, you know, everybody is going through is part of that experience. And in many ways, you can say that it's a necessary step, that can't be avoided. You know, like if you didn't need it, it wouldn't arrive to you. You know, and it wouldn't be a part of that experience. And part of these panel discussions that people have, and you know, these altercations or agreements that we may have, is a part of that process, in my opinion.
Yes, I think I get what you're saying. Everything is a part. I mean, we are a part. Everything is a part, and the past brings forth today. And there's been a lot of personality dynamics, different people growing publicly and virtually here on these platforms. There's a lot of people doing some absolutely incredible things throughout the world. I mean, Jesse's he's got firsthand conversations with some crazy stories, some amazing people. What do we want to do?
Last few days have been kind of depressing on the missing link. So today we interviewed Clay Clark from the Awakening Tour. And, you know, he's all into revelations that things have to be destroyed, that we're living in this start of the tribulations for the next 2030. I interviewed 2 doctors yesterday that, you know, kind of were like, basically, we're all fucked. And, you know, and I'm like, well, am I wasting time doing what I'm doing? And so, you know, because, you know, it kind of gets, you know, a point that we all want to make this into a better place. And if, like how the other guy said, if there's no real, we can't really do much about what's coming, that we can't change what's coming, then, what's the point of all of this trying to make a better place if, it's too stacked up already against us?
I'm sorry to hear that, Jesse, because especially a guy with the Awakening tour. But hey, I don't believe it's too late. I truly don't. I believe it is about time. It's about time that we push beyond what our old beliefs have said, what the past has brought us forth. And I believe by practicing, each of us growing in our own virtues, becoming, realigning from the idea that regulations and money are power, and recognize the power that is contained within you from kindness, compassion, and patience. Those are notes to myself, reminders for myself for today. Kindness, compassion, and patience.
This is what I like about what you represent, Jack, is that hope, that faith that we can, overcome all of this. And that's one thing that, I, resonate with you. And, I've always found alignment, with you, because I've always believed that we are here at this time to make this difference, to make the change that we want to see in the world. And that's what we're all coming together to do.
Amen, brother.
I think we're just at the beginning stages of figuring out how we're going to rebuild once everything's torn down.
Oh, technically, yes. There are levels of that. Like, this financial system can't be changed until they burn it down. Kind of like that Kali, the multi-armed destruction goddess of whatever. You can't
even
have
though
a fiery phoenix rise from the ashes without ashes.
True. Even though I don't agree with Paul's strategy of how he's trying to prepare people to basically be stoic in environments of, chaos.
But that's how
the
I
goal
say
is a good one. I just
that's
don't
how
like
I say you're not as wise as you think. That's not a strategy for a thing he's doing. It's an excuse for his grip.
I agree with that. I don't think he's actually achieving the goal he is saying. But
like the military has a system in basic training for making you think you're a POS and breaking you down so that you can be rebuilt as a better soldier. But Paul has no graduates. He has no official system he can show that he uses. He just is a jerk.
But everybody
And you
plays a
scared me,
different part,
Jesse.
and everybody needs different lessons, and not everybody's going to resonate with the same people.
Exactly.
So for what's good for some may not be good for all. So to crash and burn everybody that's maybe trying to make a difference, you're just not resonating with that message, and that's you're not
what
needing
way
to.
does he discern who requires this and who doesn't? It's just no, everybody needs it all the time according to his daily feel.
Well, there's patterns there, but I know there's a lot of doubt, but I believe people can transform in a day, in a moment. I know, Tom, please. I know the power of truth and how transformative it can be. A mind expanded with new knowledge does not retreat back to the old levels of consciousness. And Jesse, I don't remember what you said that reminded me of this, but I've been realizing there's a problem I'm encountering, and it's obviously communication.
Agreed.
Well, the
also ego.
Yes, well, this is the problem each of us have. All of our disagreements and conflicts between each other comes from a lack of understanding, the inability to properly communicate and resolve. But there is fact. You can hear the same thing from me and then someone else, and then holy shit, it makes sense. said maybe even the same words, just coming from a different energy
Usually because
source.
you're copying it from someone else.
Well, the point is, we can help each other communicate. I think.
I'm trying.
Well, in marketing, Jack, it's like, when people see the message at least 3 times is when it sinks in. So when one person's saying something, they hear it from someone else, and then a third person can tell you the exact same message, but they don't even remember the first 2, and they just remember that
Jesse,
third person that gave them that message. But it's at least 3 times for most marketing campaigns for it to actually sink into people.
And Jesse, what you're talking about is why that guy with the WEF says we're just programmable animals. And you must be able to recognize you're a programmable, or that you're having the experience of a programmable animal, and you have to fight that.
You get
That's
to
Noah
choose.
Harari says that we're hackable humans.
Right. That's what, yeah.
We always have been, though.
Okay, for the confused atheist, yes, that's what I'm saying. Our species that we're having the experience of is a programmable creature. And the thing you really are that will never die, that will go on, is always in that struggle. You are literally here in this
Hey,
realm
Tom.
to figure that out.
Yes. And I think
Right. So,
people
Jack,
are,
when you're saying that if everybody thinks everyone's against them, they'll find it, this is the beast system. Like, yes, everything is built, designed to make you not come to the realization you're here to do.
I didn't realize we were getting a Tommy lecture this Talcott Tuesday.
yeah, that's
I
why
agree with him, though.
He's
I
not
just
wrong.
wanted
He's
to- I just wanted to finish off with what he said. So Jason Christoff, who we interviewed, he's a self-sabotage coach. So what he does is he uses the same tools that they use to program us nefariously to actually program you to not want to go get that junk food, to not want to get that coffee, to maybe build better habits, to not want to reject the notion that, you're able to have money. So he uses those things to program you, but in a good way, because, like you said, people are programmable, right? So that's what Tommy was saying.
People are already programmed, I mean, like that's where language and culture and the economic system and society, these are all various types of programs that people have to deal with. But there are layers and layers to this programming. The people who are aware of themselves, in my opinion, and then people who are aware of what the system is, will put up a resistance to being programmed under. You have to fall under some kind of programming, whether you fall under God's programming or the divine programming or the programming of righteousness, or they would call it dharma, right? Or you fall under a different type of programming, more base, more animalistic
Generational
type.
what do you think? What do you think of the idea that we are responsible for the programming we allow ourselves? Because we can change.
Not doing anything to improve yourself is a form of taking that responsibility, right? I mean, if you just allow the program to take its course, let's say by society or by government, and you become, let's say, a quote unquote a normie or an NPC, you can put blame on the government for having tried to do it, but you would have to take some accountability for having allowed that programming to, be installed.
I think so. Well, this is where we're at. With what I think Tommy was saying, I actually believe there's a lot of people who have and are figuring things out, who are finding ways to break free from their own programming, from the limiting patterns for themselves. And then I've heard of Jason Christoff. I haven't looked closely at his work, but it sounds like he's doing some great things. I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, ultimately, people have to pull up their own big boy pants or their, big girl panties. And, like this other guy said, we are responsible for but it's easier to convince, or it's easier to fool somebody than convince them they were fooled. So a lot of people are in this programming, not even actually knowing, and hence why we do the work that we do to make people, aware of things that they may not be aware, so they can start to look within and maybe change that program within, or make a little tweaks and adjustments so they're not self-sabotaging themselves and then the world around us by their poor decisions.
Or they're fully aware, but they don't want to make any change.
You would have to,
for a lot of people, they don't want to admit that they poison themselves, that they poison their children, that ego stops them from wanting to admit that they made these bad decisions. So it's easier to go along and get along than actually take accountability and responsibility, especially when it comes to decisions that maybe poorly they made that affecting their children and their lives.
And there isn't going to be much that's going to be done for them, unfortunately, because if you know people and their psychology, they tend, even people who are quote unquote truthers, people who make a mistake or, who are going in the wrong direction or are not entirely accurate about something, that people tend to double down or triple down. It's just the kind of like the status quo of human nature, you could say.
That has been the patterns of the past. But as we recognize these things, I believe we can help each other overcome them. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cards stacked against our freedom and our happiness, but
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I paused there. Thank you. There's many things like the social medias, the algorithms to create these echo chambers where we're completely reinforced with the same programming. And that was kind of what I think Jesse was saying, is there is some method to the rote method of learning where it's repetition and it gets accepted within. But the whole path of the spirituality and the idea of unprogramming yourself from the worldly ways to become more of the divine essence that we are. Welcome, Scott.
I had a good day, Jack. Charges dropped.
That's good.
Fabulous.
Congratulations.
I said,
Good job.
What about the
shouldn't have gotten
molestation
in
one?
trouble for kicking your own door in anyways. It's your own
Flo,
door.
Flo, they said you were willing, so they're not. It's a null cross on that.
Scott,
Hey,
your audio
Scott.
is horrible.
Yeah, I don't mean to be the downer on good news, but your audio it's real staticky.
All you have to do is hit the echo cancellation button one time, and it'll fix your audio.
All these helpful tips today. Holy cows. Thank you.
Is that working? 10-4.
It is better.
All right.
Welcome, Joe.
Good. Y'all had a great panel, man. I just zoomed in. Ain't seen Nachi in forever. He always has.
Oh, Nachiketa.
Yeah.
How's the Alps? Is that the Alps you're in, or where are you?
Rockies, Denver. I just got back from Denver. Now I'm near New Mexico.
No, the guy that's higher than you up in the mountain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you going to see Tommy while you're there?
If you do,
yeah,
give him a hug.
From me too.
He needs it. Tommy could use one. Every single one of us up here could use one. Don't
he needs one of those long, slow, around the waist hugs where you kind of rock back and forth.
If you guys, I don't know if you cats are aware, but Denver changed its policy with the homeless. They bought, it was all in the newspapers, it was national news. They bought a hotel, at least one, a Best Western. They bought the whole thing. They bought little pallet houses and built little pallet houses and shit. They signed up, they signed up 1,000. They signed up 70 homeless people in this first go around, and the rest they're putting on a waiting list. And they started 2 days ago, I think, putting them into the hotel and shit like that. I was out there filming that. And today was the deadline. You got to have your shit gone, and we talked to some of the people, the representatives, that all the people they took, which should have been 73, didn't want the services, and some actually cried when they got to the hotel room. They've been on the street so long and shit. So it's been some good shit. If Tommy wants to fuck around in Denver, it's a good time. It's all on the news too here in Denver because it's a new program and it's going to be played politically and all of that shit. I got some really good footage. It won't be on my channel because no one watched to watch homeless shit, but I did good.
Bless your heart, brother.
Man.
We're living at a very interesting time. The levels of homelessness and poverty, we're right at a tipping point on many different things. Between
the separation between the wealthy and the poor is making us more homeless. We're getting into that category, and then there's another category, and no one in the middle. Like all in Denver, kids can't afford to live. Everything's $500,000 or better, condos and shit. There's just no middle ground. So you're gonna be homeless or wealthy. Sorry, Jack.
Hey, that's the state our society is evolving to, and it's not looking good. The facts don't look good. But this is where our egos can be a benefit or a hindrance, because we're learning all of this through our body, through our mind. We're learning all of this, and these things, as we awaken to different realities, it's going to fracture different parts of our beliefs and parts of our memories. And when we start feeling fractured like that, where our whole structures of everything we believed in is crumbling away, holy shit, that is scary. And
I was wondering if you were saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I was wondering where you're going with that.
There's a town in Lethbridge, Alberta, about a year ago or 2 years ago, they did the same thing, was eradicate the homeless, and a concept for everyone to think about, that there is more vacant homes across this world, North America, and these first world countries than there are homeless people. So they could actually house, every single person could be housed if we had a fair and balanced system.
Yeah. In Chicago, we don't see that homeless problem the way you cats do. You don't even see our homeless on the street unless they're downtown because we got so many vacays, especially in my neighborhood. You can go into a vacated abandoned building, a vacated building or something, right? So we have in the winter, we have a lot of fires because people in there trying to keep warm and they end up setting the buildings on fire. But you don't ride around and see the homeless, man. It's like somebody like Jesse just said, there's definitely enough buildings for them.
This is insanity. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The
lighter, baby.
The value systems of the greater whole, they've been misplaced. And the misplaced value system that's promoted in the media, that's promoted in the government, in the movies, that misplaced value system can lead us, off of our path. I think we may all have a divine path and purpose that, who knows if it's laid out for us or if it just emerges as we go through time, who knows? But
Jack,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you do know that the media and the government and the entertainment industry and just about everything else is owned by the same people. And this, homeless problem or economic disparity is being used to bring. Yeah, it's definitely manufactured. It's being used to bring about their agenda into fruition. So it's not done by accident. It's not all willy-nilly type of stuff. And when they talk about economics and we're going through the depression or whatever, it's usually all all manufactured.
I would agree with Nachi.
Yes, absolutely. And the patterns of this have throughout history, these methods of control have been used, and the signs are clear that it is time for a change. It is time for us to bring forth different ways for the future, individually and collectively. I've changed my life for sure. I know we can all improve.
Have you ever heard of this book called The Fire in the Minds of Men?
I don't think I have.
No, it's a book basically it's coming from a Dostoevsky's a book about possession, and demons have possessed people, and people but it's a book about revolutions, so I think its name is Billington, but basically his premise of this idea is that throughout history of all these revolutions, you have the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Bolshevik Revolution, the Boxer revolutions, different types of revolutions, they've all came under the banner of like community. These are all slogans, freedom. Who doesn't like freedom?
Brush fires in the hearts of men. Or brush
Fire
fire
in
in the
the
minds of men. I've heard that.
No, it's not brush fires. It's just fire in the minds of men.
One of the founding forefathers, I'm assuming he borrowed from where you have Thomas Jefferson. He's famous for, we want to start brush fires in the minds of men. I'm sure he borrowed it from your guy.
What Nachiketa was saying about the multimedia, motion picture, television, the entertainment industry, and then he was saying the news as well. That is the case. It's been corporate, it's been owned, but as of late, the last 5 years, you have a lot of independent, and in the music industry, you've had that for the last 15, 20 years. So the more you have independence, the more some of this news can come out that is, well, from the streets, but they're trying to block that too. That's what we have to try and, in my opinion, foster even more of. They
also have fake, the fake independent.
Oh, there's psyops.
Like,
definitely.
I don't believe that Tom McDonald is independent, no matter what he says.
Agreed.
What do you think about Veritas and what's his name? He's moved on to his own thing.
James O'Keefe.
James O'Keefe. I think he's pretty.
Don't buy it.
No.
Oh, so you're saying that Tom
way too
McDonald
much
being
mainstream
shadow
fame.
banned is fake? Because I think it's fake.
I don't think. Oh, okay.
How's he shadow banned? I see his shit all the time.
No, that's what I'm saying. He goes on. He does. He's one of those people that goes online and says, "Oh, they're shadow banning me." He's got 4 million subscribers. He's got people. He's got 5,000 people in his live stream, and he has signs and symbols in every single music video.
Just the amount, the volume of music videos that he produces. If he was just an independent dude in the basement, there's no way that you could make a new music video and a song, every week.
Like for Facebook, we were getting on the missing link. That was our biggest platform, 5 to 50,000 views on each one of our interviews. And then the Canadian government came with this restriction that Facebook has to pay news organizations and they have to run all the news through the government. Now we're doing 500 to 2,000 views per interview. So it's gone down 90% or more ever since the government decided to get involved into Facebook and news. Technically, I'm a journalist.
How does that work for your regular news, your regular media? They're in their business too. They got it. Your regular media must be run through the government as well.
The government, they pay $1.1 billion to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation to promote the government media. So the media is run by the government. So they actually pay for the propaganda. That's why they had to cancel out any independent journalist like myself.
Yeah, that's a little different. That's a little indifferent. Yeah, I know. I thought that it was in the open that Facebook had went through the government. I know. I guess it is pretty much an open now. All right. But how do you fucking know that they put the switch on your channel? Right,
because as soon as it happened, I interviewed this one girl who doesn't really have a lot of people that know her, and we had 5,000 views. And then 2 days later, we interviewed Dr. Judy Mikovits, who's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and we had 500 views of it. So automatically when that switch went on, I saw it visibly see it attack me from someone who's very well known in the world, getting 90% less views than someone that not a lot of people know about. I saw it the instant they did it. As soon as they passed it or whatever they did with Facebook, I saw it directly hit me.
I saw, I think it was Facebook when they came out, what they were doing. They called them filters, and the government had 8 filters, different levels of buttons that they can hit and filter other people's channel without asking any permission from anybody. They could go to you and hit 8 different filters. I imagine the first one is shadow banding, and the last one is getting rid of your channel or something.
And the third one is DEW, direct energy.
Weapons, right?
They hit everybody hard who was sharing all our stuff on Facebook. They deleted 776 posts of mine. They called it a breach of cybersecurity, and they hit everybody who shared. So now people are now nervous to share my stuff because they got hit. So that's another attack that people are a little bit more hesitant to share things out that I'm putting because they got hit so hard by everybody got hit on this big cybersecurity, which, you know, focused on Canadians and me a lot.
There's ways
Facebook
to
was never.
censorship.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nachiketa. There's ways to overcome the censorship. It's when we communicate and free ourselves from oppression. And so if there's censorship going on, which there is, and you know, in history, old times ago, the Library of Alexandria was supposedly burned with all the knowledge humanity has gathered, and here online there is a lot of knowledge gathered. But the more censorship, the more these corporations and the government are united, the legislators and the shareholders, as long as they're united, freedom is an illusion. The disparity between wealth and poverty is going to continue to grow, and we're going to cycle through the same nonsense of the past.
The people who have been in power has always been in power, and you know, like the platforms like here, like YouTube or Facebook, they never really belonged to the people. Yes, they were a little bit more open at the beginning, but that's how you reel people in, right? And then, you know, like people think they have some kind of rights on these platforms, and you know, and we can. It doesn't matter, like whatever platform, major platforms, they're all owned by the same people, you know, and yeah, there's a seeming separateness, you know, if Elon Musk takes over and blah, 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 it's just a strategy that they use. And, you know, they understand that they can't just, you know, outright make a martyr out of people. Sometimes they do to make an example, and sometimes they know the cost of making martyrs out of people, you know, completely blocking them or shutting them down, but they can certainly minimize you or you know, put you on a ban, shadow ban type of stuff.
Not you, Andrew Tate. Is that real or is he a puppet?
I don't really care about Andrew Tate, so I don't really.
Okay, all right.
Fake as fuck.
I think
Tucker Carlson, real or a plant?
Hold on, I want to hear what Jack thinks
Most
about
likely a plant.
Well, I think Tate and even Carlson. I think they may have the right intentions within them, but they've got confused minds. People, they believe money is power. Money is important. And because money is important, they sell their values.
Remember what Notch said about seeing reality as it is so that you can make the future better? Money is power right now. Right now.
In the past, yes. And
right
today,
now.
right,
yes.
right.
Okay.
It has a power, the true power, regardless. It's always been the true. And someone just said that there's been consistently these people who have been in charge. Yep. And the Spirit of Christ, the true divinity, has always been available for us to accept, to embrace, and to offer.
And the reason that I keep pointing that out, that money is power, is because you can't make the future different if you don't acknowledge the present, right? So
I'm not
maybe
in
I'm
denial.
disagreeing over nothing, and it's just
No,
it's just
don't
semantics.
do
But
that.
Well,
No, don't do that. You're right, Flo. You're absolutely right.
no,
But
I know
it's
I'm
two
right. I'm not
different
backing
points
off.
of the
whoa.
same thing. So with what
Whoa.
Jack is saying is this spiritual currency is, what's the true power. But in the matrix, what we're living in right now, money is the power, right? But when people find their true currency, the spiritual power, what we truly are, the power we have inside of us, that is so much more powerful than the illusion of the money, especially in this fiat currency system when paper
I
is worth
think
toilet paper. With that,
Okay.
I
that's the
think
whole
Flo
belief
understood that when he
Yeah, no. So, and that's what I was thinking it was, and that's why I keep pushing back on it because it's not an illusion. Right now, money is power. Full
Right.
stop.
So please stop
Agreed.
assuming I don't understand economics. Okay.
Well,
no, put yourself as
That's just an
Okay.
absurdity. Okay.
well, I mean, what did
So
you just say?
What?
Money has been given power because that is what society has taught and conditioned people. Our
So you
conversation
do agree with
earlier
Flo?
was, hey,
Money is
we can
power
break.
right now.
Hey, Joe.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
I
just
guess what I was
interruption.
saying was
Relax,
unimportant.
relax.
Go ahead.
No, calm down. You agree with
Well,
Flo
why do
before
you
we
do
move
it?
on that money is power right now. So it has some continuity in
Yes.
this. I want to
You
interrupt you for
guys
no
are
reason. Thank
constantly
you.
reminding me,
I don't
you,
want to be
Paul, and
guys. I'm
everyone
one
else, that
nigga.
I
Don't
have
pull a
no
fucking
power because I got no
just
money.
listen.
Hey,
I'm
Joe,
not
if you
attacking you
can't
with
yield yourself, no
He
one
never
is.
said that about you. That was
good.
not personalized at all.
Pardon?
That was not a personal. Joe did not make a personalized statement at all.
He got put in the back because for whatever reason, he's got a pattern of deflecting the conversation and here speaking over me. Now, I'm not asking for, I mean, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right path for me. Maybe I don't have the patience for these things.
I'd like to
don't
ask a question, Jack, if you don't mind. What is power? Let's go with that, and then we can discuss whether or not, like I understand what you're talking about, and I understand what flow state is talking about, and money is probably the greatest religion that we have in this world. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Hindu or a Buddhist, you're going to have to deal with money. And then my father forced me to learn a little bit about economics since he was an economic professor, and having gone down that rabbit hole, you understand that money is a creation, it's fiat, it's a decree, right? And there are central banks and there are other banks. So but the thing is, the human confidence or people's belief in the power of that money gives it that power. But that's kind of true with just about anything. Like human belief gives it the power, whatever that it may be, by our attention and time that we give to it. So when you talk about power, what does power mean to you?
Definitions of words are what keep people confused, and it's the way we can understand, I guess. Power is, there is an eternal power, the force of love, which brings forth life. Life brings forth consciousness for us to experience, and through the power of consciousness, we get to realize the power of truth. But wisdom and love are the true powers that I care about, honestly. And I think most people, if they humble themselves, actually care about wisdom and love as well. Money has been used as a distraction, as an incentive for people to obey. Logically deny your emotions and obey what is said, and you can get rewarded with this life-sustaining idol.
So let me try to expand on what you're just saying. You're talking about love and wisdom. Wisdom, in my opinion, is knowledge put into action. You can have a lot of knowledge, right? And you can have a lot of books and such that you might have read, and but you don't put it into practice, it doesn't really become wisdom in that sense. So
Jack,
wisdom
could you
or
kick Nachiketa out? He's picking on me.
What?
The lack of action. I'm just playing around. A lot of wisdom, no action. I was just saying he's picking on me.
Gotcha.
It was a good
I
joke.
have an actual question. I have a question for Jack. What would you say is a good way to handle the people that have bought into the system and perpetuate the system? Like, say if Tom McDonald really is an artist who is claiming to be independent but really working for the system. Like, what would you do with these people? How do we go about fixing that, Jack? Because I think
a
that
lot
goes
of
a long
people-
way to. Hey, well, hold on. That goes towards like ending war and suffering because these people are the guys that tell you that we need to go to war. They're the ones that tell people that Black Lives Matter. We got to go riot. We got to go do this. We got to. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot
Those
of
who are
useful idiots.
willfully. Pardon?
I was just saying, I agree with him, but there's a lot of people that don't even realize that they're being tricked into the position where they're being useful idiots, stooges for the government.
He was asking you, Jack. So, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Well, the question of what to do with those who are willfully enabling and participating in whatever is happening, I think the solution for the individuals is in the systems. Narcissists and liars will not thrive if we have a society that actually values wisdom and love. I mean, if more people practice, if more people, and this is something I thought about after the conversations yesterday, the doubts of God and the resistance to religion, regardless of faith or beliefs, each of us can improve our virtues of kindness, compassion, and patience. With kindness and compassion, honesty is easily shared.
So how do we get people that don't want to do this? Like people that really like lust and money and they don't give a fuck about the guy next door. How do we get them to value what you value?
We killed them.
How do we prax you?
I think you're asking me, how do we get the world to do God's will? To actually follow natural law? That is the question. That's the $1 million question. How do we get humans to become better? Well, I think it takes a community, and I think it starts with communication. It starts with having whoever this person is who's resistant to change, let's start with a conversation, and the next step is revealed by what they respond.
What happens if they don't want to listen?
But it's full disclosure, and then the market dictates. But it's full disclosure, and the market dictates. If people know and they still want to support them, that's their free will and their choice. We can't tell people not to support someone, even if they're working on the wrong side, right? But if people knew and full disclosure was out there, then people could choose, and the market would truly dictate.
Right, but you have to have full disclosure first for that to happen. And the people that are in control of the information are opposition. So how are we going to get them to fully disclose it?
Well, I have the idea that we play the game. We use the systems that have the illusions of power, right? We use the authority of the legislators who are truly, we all know the legislation is puppeteers. They're puppets being played by the corporations. Well, if we have land of equality, then it should not be so difficult to have a conversation with some of those legislators. Yet I've been trying, well, I could have tried harder, obviously, but I've yet to have a conversation with any of them.
Are you guys familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
It seems to me that morality in general is a luxury.
According to,
if you're hungry,
according to facts, or
yes, absolutely, according to facts.
through
If you're
societal
starving,
programming.
if your
It's
kids are
been,
starving,
it's been inverted.
Society with worldwide commerce and transportation, morality is a luxury. That is an excuse that keeps people sleeping in the streets while buildings are vacant, and it keeps children's bellies hungry while food is sitting behind some wall.
no, that's a reality. That's a fact.
That's a society. You're right. It's a fact of the past that has been brought forth and reinforced through rewards and punishment, brainwashing people into believing in the worldly ways.
So if we just believe in the future, then Maslow's hierarchy of needs will cease to be applicable.
It's a false narrative, but
I mean, it just seems to me that the hierarchy of needs kind of tells you how you could go about changing people's minds.
Okay.
And that you can't change anyone's minds if their basic needs aren't met. I don't see money as a problem. You know that. I think that it's a lower need. It satisfies a lower need, right? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about higher needs. Mm-hmm. So how do you get people to elevate higher? You have to address the lower first, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Every moment, every interchange, every attempt is going to be a little bit different, but the concept remains the same. And you just said it. It's easier for people to change their beliefs and to open their minds when they feel safe. I was talking about that earlier. You know, how do you allow people to be safe, feel safe? And
I have a question too, Jack, because if you give everybody the lower stuff on the pyramid of needs, doesn't that make them complacent? You know, because like in America, you see an abundance, right? I know there's a lot of poor people in America, but there's also an abundance. And then when you see these people that have the abundance, they're watching football, they're fat, they're lazy, they're not doing anything good with their lives, right? So there's got to be a balance where people get their needs met, but they also don't get too much of what they need, because then they're not going to go out and do anything better for the world, you know, because they're just going to sit on the couch.
Believe that if you want.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm asking if you think it or not.
I've thought this through. Okay. I'm not God. I don't claim to determine what others need, what they don't need. All I'm suggesting is we accept two things. The greater land, the governments and systems of today are not acceptable. And number two, I believe we can change them. I believe they can be improved. I believe that, yeah, I'm distant. I don't have the intricacies and the inside scoop on all of this stuff. But I know for a fact that all of the children, all of the suffering, all of the men and women who are going without right now, while we just want to talk about things we can imagine as problems.
Well, those are the only two.
I'm doing this to try and share the belief the world can change. Now, I think the why is pretty damn important. Each day I wake up, I see the wars are still continuing. There's still homelessness, still innocent people in prison, which thank God that's not me. But all I'm suggesting, guys, is we become more spiritual in nature, each of us, to have a relationship with the divine, to allow what is divine about us to come forth. Because there is a greater intelligence that's within us, around us. It reveals our days for us. And then we decide, okay, this information has been revealed to me. I think this, I do this.
I'd like to answer Bruce's question. So would people become more complacent? I think, through a system when we're only as good as our weakest link, and there's people that are suffering, people that are dying, people that are malnourished and all that, that should be first and foremost, making sure everybody has their basic needs met. And I think most people that have a heart would be in agreement and alignment with that, as long as that. Now, would people become complacent in a system when they had all their needs met? I believe there's people that like to excel. There's people that aren't going to want to do much, but they're going to just be having their basic needs met. But there's going to be healthy competition, not competition where they want to step on each other's throat to get ahead of that person, but healthy competition where people maybe would be competing, working together. So would there be lazy? Yes, there would. Will there be super motivated people? Yes, there would. Same in the system that we have now, except now everybody's basic needs would get met by the collective's intelligence, and then we would thrive in a different way of abundance, opposed to taking from what someone else maybe has.
Amen. But I just wanted to bring this around. The reason I asked that question was because I wanted to bring it into, I think that once everybody's basic needs get met, I think skills need to be taught. And mentors need to teach what they know, so that way people can, they can go out, and if someone wants to be a blacksmith, they can go do that. Because I think the reason why people are so complacent is because they don't have these abilities to go do things. So it's so easy to turn on YouTube, or so easy to sit on the couch and watch a movie, but to go build a car or do something, it's tough.
The
So
school
I think
system from the school system from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then the value system from like the 1880s. And maybe you have something to move forward with.
Can I share something, guys? As I'm hearing Jesse, and not to denounce that, is that on a national level or is that on a globalist level? Because that's been going on for centuries.
Start within, but you'd obviously, each country would have to do it for their own country, right? Now again, going globalist, trying to control what everybody else does. Some people may not adopt the system, but it's arrogant to think that you can go and tell other countries how they should and shouldn't live before you fix your own backyard, right? So each country is maybe responsible for its own area, and then once it has abundance, can maybe start helping other countries. I think that would be more of a feasible system than trying to adopt the New World Order, doing it all together. We're all going to control it all together, which goes into
knowing that, Jesse. So knowing that, Jesse, then, sorry for interceding for a second, knowing that, would we have to restructure the schooling system so we can actually learn how to steward the land and understand where the moon and sun have to be, which is possibilities. And there is a lot of people that come from other countries that still understand how to till the land.
The whole school system would have to be revamped, because it's not, for people to excel on what they're good at, right? It's just about, putting your hand up, regurgitating a whole bunch of bullshit. It's not about actually making people, because different people have different skills. Different people have different interests. If school was maybe based on...
Jess. I love you, Jess. I hear that. And I guess we can do the rhetoric and all that. But would we actually have to topple the system at that point?
The whole system's got to be flushed. The whole system has to be flushed.
So who does that? Is that military? Is that the philosophers? Is it the poets that actually start doing all of that?
I think it's collective.
All of us. Yeah.
I think it's collectively, because if, again, you're taking one group in charge, the military is going to be in charge of the system, then they're not going to include everyone, what's best for them and their military brethren, I guess, of what they see. I think everybody would have to have an equal opportunity, an equal say for people that wanted to participate, because not everybody's going to want to participate in that restructuring. But for the people that do, they should have an equal say in how things are done.
Okay, so knowing that, where have we picked out in history when the masses actually start going into anarchy? How does that look like? Because we're talking now, putting our weight on the masses, and most people aren't informed. I'm just saying that's a possibility. Sorry, Jack.
I don't mean to interrupt. It sounded like the prediction is another violent uprising, and those have not proven healthy in the past. This is something I think humanity has evolved through the nonviolent protest. most markedly through the work of Gandhi, and then later with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. With many people, nonviolent action is the solution. If we unite with the same goals, it's not going to be that difficult. It's not going to be real complicated. I believe if we get clarity on the why are we looking at our school systems? And and theoretically this is happening at the same time we're looking at the distribution system of economics, because all an economy is the distribution of resources. We have an economy within our body, within our family, our budgets, within the community. We just got to change the way resources are distributed.
I think those are great ideal, Jack. I think is with Gandhi, actually, there was division after. There was a lot of sectors that broke away. Even with Martin Luther King, there was a lot of division.
Yes.
So it's the maintaining part that I would be concerned about the human race, not just the eventually, okay, we've had enough. And even that, Gandhi was there to actually help England move to a different structure. So once again, how does that look like from the masses? I'm not talking about anarchy is just anarchy. You can have that in any ism, we chaos. How does that look like? Because most of us have been programmed in a system.
Well, what would you want it to look like?
Well, we start talking to each other with a little bit more openness, and instead of having personal conflict publicly, we could actually start laying things out and say, okay, so let's put our indifference aside for a while and start hearing each other, hopefully listening from within.
Ding, 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 ding. That's maybe something like what these panels are going about. And to answer Dominic's question, what you said before is with history. Do we really know what history was really real history? They've taught was a violent history. Even the Bible, everything is about violence. Everything is, that's what they paint us as, because they want us to believe that we are violent creatures, that we could never coexist together, that it has to be this structure in order. There has to be a firm, hand. And, they even teach in their Freemason indoctrination camps, they call schools that, the victor rewrites history. So how many times has a new empire came in that they've taught that's rewritten history over and over and over? So what actual from history is real? Maybe 300 years ago when the Tartarian mud floods happened, everything else is bullshit behind that. And they're just teaching that to indoctrinate us to think that we're these violent creatures that have never coexisted, that have never worked together. So history is a big, I don't look towards history because, and then the second part to your question is that we're introducing something that's maybe brand new. Maybe this whole concept of us coming together, working together, we're working for abundance, not having enemies when we all work together. Maybe that's something that's never happened before. It may have haven't, but we're not looking towards the past to, look to this new system that maybe has never been put into place.
There's different kinds of wars, and we don't have to go that far. You just have to go look at human behavior right now. There are people that are violent with each other verbally, and they're not taking accountability. They want to make it personal, but yet they don't make it personal.
Just learned behavior, generational after generational after generational learned behavior. This is the programming consciousness of having this, kill or be killed behavior. That's just what.
How do you know where the programming starts and stops? Because I hear several people that I think are saying this is program behavior when referring to things that they don't like, and ignoring human nature. Not just you, but including what you just said.
Well, the program.
I just don't think.
Sorry, the flow here, where the program starts is you're speaking a language. That's the program right there. That's one program.
Right, I agree with that.
Well, you get it. You get the program, and then some of our behaviors, and then even that, whether you get it from your immediate family, your immediate community, those are programs. We should be able to challenge those things, not because of our likes or dislikes, just challenging it for what it is. Most traditions or customs die or continue because people don't challenge them, and most people will challenge externally. Go ahead, Chuck.
That's
right. I guess
doing just that.
Yeah,
breaking and interrupting the traditions. Sorry.
What I just heard, or what I just interpret, how I just interpret what I heard is that aggression and interpersonal aggression is programming, and I would say that it's quite the opposite. It's baked into our animal biology.
there's
But
so
they're
much
also tapping
information
into all
available.
our comforts. Oh, go ahead.
Dick, your mic is way low.
Oh, thank you.
So I
Well,
think
the
it
other-
starts. Go ahead, Jack.
The other aspect I want to remind and reinforce is the spiritual aspect of our being. We are not just the bodily forms. We're not just the predictive beasts that are constantly in conflict. We have the opportunity to overcome.
This is what they want, is us to be disconnected from our divinity, to think that we are these animals, that we all have this, instinctual to just go kill others, but that's taking us away from this beautiful creation, that we aren't part of the animal kingdom. We are above it. We don't have the same type of animal instinctual, we can it's bred into people. People want to believe that's who and what they are. But I think the divine and that connection is what's been severely separated. And until we reconnect people and let people know that, hey, we've all been programmed, because most people won't even admit that they are being programmed. And once people start to accept that, then maybe they can actually look towards maybe altering, or like how this Jason Christoff is, self-sabotage. He's actually fine-tuning and programming people in the positive way, opposed to working against themselves.
Yeah, you can program yourself, and when you look at how much information is available, I mean, whatever you want to do, it's one thing to change the starter on your car or your alternator once, but you do it 3 or 4 times on some different vehicles, you really get the knack of it, and before you know it, I mean, you're a do-it-yourselfer. If you've built one deck, that's one thing, but if you've built 10 decks, it really starts to become a creature of habit process where you could help anybody build their deck now, because you know the ropes.
You're zipping along.
Yeah, so it's like you want to be that guy that knows how to do shit and fabricate and make things happen, solve problems. And if you can do that, you're pretty much indispensable.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh, there's a big longer saying that goes to that. People just know the first part of it, but if you knew the whole exact part, the whole saying of it, it actually is pretty good. And what Dick is saying, like I did the same thing. Like I was taught by my dad how to paint.
Yeah, don't leave it hanging.
I don't have it memorized in my head, but I, grew up my dad, like generational, how people teach their kids their skills. You're around your parents, you teach them, you learn those skills. I learned how to paint, but as I had adapted, I learned how to tile floors. I hired somebody that tiled floors, tiled them with them, learned how to do that. Now I know how to tile floors. Did the same thing with laminate flooring. Everybody can get those skills. It's easy to reprogram yourself. Even though I was painting all my life, I was able to learn these other skills by just a little bit of effort.
Yeah, so people are just lazy. They're addicted to content that's not productive. But I was going to say, Paul Enslave knows that saying, because I hear him say it all the time. It's one he uses quite often. The
Jack of all trades.
I just put it in the chat.
Many times better than a master of one.
There you go.
Thank you.
I think it should be both. A jack of all trades and a master of one. It should be both.
Mm-hmm.
What I think we're here to do, we touched on it earlier, the power of knowledge, the power of wisdom. Wisdom, taking knowledge, wisdom is the knowledge gained from experience or knowledge applied through experience. We're here to share the wisdom we've each gained. There's a lot of wisdom out there already to learn. And I think the solution should the future be anything like I imagine, where all of a sudden, somehow, some way, poof, debts are gone, and now all of a sudden people are actually kind and compassionate and honest? The communities, we could help educate each other's children very easily. I mean, right now, knowledge is denied. Education, at least the traditional methods are denied to those who don't have support and resources. This is insanity. That's kind of what Jesse was talking about. I see if your human basic needs were met, the very basics, that would include proper access to education.
What you said, Jack, is, with the children, it's, that's been traditionally, it takes a village to raise a child. And now in this separated society, everybody is on their own, raising their own children, unless they got a good support system around them, which that has been dwindling, especially with the lighter skin races. I see a lot of these other people from other different cultures. They got 12 people living in one house and they help each other buy each other houses. But, for the Western adopted society, it's not like that. It's each man to their own and, build it on my own. And so now there's not a lot of, collaboration, which makes people, against each other opposed to working with each other.
I definitely prefer that, though, to living 12 deep in a house. Definitely prefer it. I mean, if you want to change that, you're going to have to do so dragging me the whole way. And yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to do it forever. You do it for a couple of years.
They pool their resources and then they just start buying each other's houses, and they just keep on going with that pooled resources. So it's a different way of thinking, but it's working together opposed, I'll compete my cousin or my brother, and I'll compete each other while one has a lot, then the other one doesn't have any, opposed to all working together to make it happen. And a lot of these different cultures have been very successful at that, opposed to the Western society where everyone man's on their own.
Pass.
I think the whole Western capitalist society is built upon everybody being an individual. That's really what makes it run. When you start to share resources, it's like you're beating the game. You know what I'm saying? That's the tricks that you use to actually beat the game and elevate and get out of the system. But what's promoted in our society is totally the opposite. Everybody's an individual. Soon as you're 18, move out, get your own place. Don't live with your parents for an extended amount of time. Go be an individual. That's kind of what our society promotes. And it's
isn't
more
society
beneficial.
Isn't a society judged by how they handle the weakest among them, the most needy? So I mean, our
And
society
people
it is working in the wrong direction. We are focusing on the wrong things, and that's kind of what we need to do. This is, I think, what Jack's whole point is that we are focusing on, who's got the most, who's got the best, who's got the better, and capitalism 101 has led us into basically a free fall.
Divided, we remain ruled. We remain governed. Divided, we remain at war. And humans are creative. I don't mean to swear. Humans are creative. We'll imagine
and collaborative. Instinctively.
We're communal beings. We like to be in that community. For a lot of people, it's just they've been programming against it. Well, they've been programming us against that.
Were you just saying
we're more
capitalism
tribal than
basically
communal.
led us down this bad road, Scott?
Well, I think that there's a lot to be said for the corruption behind it. Okay, there's not a real neutral check valve to this capitalism we're seeing. Okay, we have unfettered capitalism. In fact, I wouldn't even call it capitalism at this point. I'd call it just pure greed and insanity.
Yeah,
money work.
You guys are both wrong though, and this is the argument I made last night about how voluntarism is a solution. Now, I believe that a spirit source morality is, essential. However, you can't force that. You have to have a society that's voluntary based, whether it's government, any kind of collective resources. So the forced nature of taxation and government is really what stops a true form of capitalism from flourishing.
Well, it's one of many things, but the entire.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
Can I just point out that there's nothing stopping anybody from choosing to live whatever lifestyle with whatever economic system they choose as a community?
That's true. It is true.
So nobody's forcing anyone into capitalism. I don't know why everyone's always playing the victim.
moving outside of it proves to be pretty challenging unless you make very conscious, intentional, deliberate efforts.
I mean, it's socialism, Paul. Like if you go hunting and you don't have a license, you don't have a tag, they're not going to treat you kindly. They're going to call that poaching, and you're going to have to deal with the consequences. If you go fishing in the lake, you don't have registration on that boat. You don't have some kind of documentation. I mean, I know it's sad. It's disgusting. Papers, please. It's Nazi Germany. It's worse. But
that's not capitalism. That's fascism.
Yeah, it's a form of fascism. Corporations running the government, but fascism kind of misunderstood in a lot of ways.
It's funded for profits. The entire government structure is set up to protect the economic structure. So, in other words, the government exists for profits. Where does profit come from? Comes from labor, exploitation, extortion. That's
what
where
is a good alternative?
Profit doesn't always come from exploitation and extortion. Sometimes it comes from putting out a good product.
No, Paul's absolutely right.
And replaces other things. That's called a competitive marketplace, free
That's
market.
not true.
So you're saying every single person who makes profit doing anything is doing it through exploitation?
Well, profits for a business come from an abundance over the production costs, correct? So that means resources and labor are minimized. That means rather than sharing with the labor, the actual producers of the profit.
You don't think they share with the labor? That's what wages are. And economic growth is not a zero-sum thing. You're going to kick me out because you're doing the socialist bullshit and you don't understand what you're talking about.
Look at your stronghold. You're so prepared to defend these. You think I don't understand economics? I understand the bullshit system that I sold my happiness.
Like Reaganomics. It's trickle up economics.
Jack, I'm a business owner, and the only way that I get paid is if I show a profit. That's the only way I pay my bills. So, and I'm not out there.
I'm sorry. That's an excuse. So let's carry it through. Yes, it's a real life.
Wait,
life condition.
To the gulag with Sarah.
Because other people charge you money, you have to make money. I get it. The problem
people pay her money
are together. When we start sharing, we'll find a way to move past the profiteer mindset. We can move into actually producing things of value for the purposes of those we're offering it to.
Jack, your perspective on this is very limited. The exchange of free exchange between her and her client. Listen to me. It's not zero sum. Both parties are better off at the end of it. That's the principle that you're missing.
So they say. Yep, the John and the hoe,
otherwise
the John
you
and the prostitute, they both benefit, right? Never mind the moral deprivation. The fact
now
that
you're getting it, Jack.
Their being for
there's
something.
no moral deprivation.
Okay, you're right. Never
any
moral deprivation.
If I hire somebody to
always
cut the grass,
win-win, right, Flo? Dude, you're delusional.
But at some level, it is free will, right? Like
if I hire somebody to cut my grass and they do it, we've both ended up better off. Agree?
If they're willing participants and they're grown adults. You might find some
imagining
people like that
disagreements
trade.
between hoes and tricks.
I'm just
Don't do
wondering
that.
why. What's the benefit?
The benefit is getting your grass mowed, and he gets $30
what is
or whatever.
the benefit of this playing this opposition? Do you think? I mean, you're
playing what
I'm
to you?
suggesting that the world can improve.
Someone tell them they love them
each
quick.
of us can become more caring, kind, compassionate, and honest with each other. And I know we can make a better world. Now, I love you guys. I really do. I just don't understand this world.
I love you, Jack.
Look, what would be a better alternative to capitalism?
Anything where greed and callous narcissism does not thrive.
Okay, so what's that?
Where where knowledge was not withheld and information was not manipulated for the purposes of controlling people's beliefs, making them think that they can only do this if they have money. They can only do this if, guys, we are far greater than this.
I think that your issue is not with an economic system, it's with just humanity.
It is with the systems and structures that our ancestors and co-people living here today. My problem is with the demons of corporations and government. I believe it is what was prophesied, the beasts of rule that have risen.
But you just listed human attributes.
Yep, and we've been given examples of what a human should be, could be, should it follow natural law and have faith in truth and wisdom and love.
Natural law follows capitalism.
Well, it most certainly does not, Flo.
So I've talked to
non-coercion. Hold on. Natural law is built on non-coercion. So is capitalism.
Bullshit. Capitalism is not based on coercion. People go sell themselves to a thankless employer, denying themselves the
employer's thankless.
Educate or the time to care for their loved ones. Why? Because the society extorts their labor from them. That's not a win-win, and that's not a fair exchange.
That's also not an accurate understanding of the world. That's a very biased.
Do you think there's no examples? I can think of many faces in my mind right now.
Do you think that there's no
working overtime at some of the fast food establishments that are being denied the overtime pay? They're just miscategorized for a manipulation of someone else's rules. Why? So they can extort more profit from the labor. Just the arguments I've been saying, Flo.
Well, maybe if they were working in a sweatshop or slave labor in communist China, that would be better. Or a gulag in Russia, communist Russia, or any other example.
Why can't employees here in America have freedom of speech? Why
they
are they
do, Jack? Why do you think they don't?
They can be fired for disagreeing with the boss.
Because
men and women in America
working is voluntary, because it's a voluntary transaction on both parts.
I encourage you to rethink your convictions, Flo, because
I've thought
things
about
are
them.
not as voluntary as you think.
You're trying to gaslight me, but they are voluntary transactions. That's why employers can fire employees and employees can quit at any time for no reason at all.
Flo, as the story goes, the devil comes and offers us these things, and it's a voluntary transaction, right? Sell your soul for these worldly rewards. That's a voluntary transaction. You're absolutely right, Flo.
And what's the lesson
that is
of it?
Capitalism.
So if we could get guys with guns to force the corporations to keep these people employed, we could overcome these problems if you'd stop being so resistant. So please.
My bad.
Comply.
I totally missed that guys with guns option.
I don't want any more guys with guns hired.
But that's the only
to do the fucking enforcement of others.
That's the only way to enforce whatever you're suggesting.
That is not the only way. You're playing foolish right now.
Well, I mean, then give me a response besides just to ad hominem.
Give them bread.
Well, if you're not going to think about the truth, then me explaining every little nuance isn't going to help. You claim that paying people to carry guns is the only way for enforcement.
How else is it going to be enforced?
We have different ideas of what maybe the way maybe society could be handled, because I don't believe that really enforcement and militarization, even though I served voluntarily, right?
Yes.
I was voluntarily.
Yes, you were.
Fucking fooled is what I was. I was brainwashed. But yeah.
Shouldn't people be allowed to make bad decisions?
Should they be rewarded for bad decisions?
I think that if it's a bad decision, they generally won't be rewarded in the long run for it.
untrue. There's many harmful decisions, and I guess we didn't clarify what was good or bad, but there are many harmful decisions that CEOs are making millions of bucks every year just for overseeing the harmful decisions that are being
Purposeful.
executed by other obedient employees voluntarily.
Purposefully.
Yes,
And
voluntarily.
purposefully.
And every employee doing something bad, like all the cops, they're all responsible for their part in it.
Are
guess,
they
Jack-
held responsible? No, they're not.
Jack, if I can intercede.
Society. Please.
Sorry, Jack, I can intercede for a second here. If you change the international currency to another ism, you would see what capitalism can and cannot do. When they valued America's currency in 2005 at 9 cents to the dollar, it already had collapsed. So now that's why militaries kicked in. So once again, those isms, I don't care if it's a social system, it's a Marxism, a liberal system. If all the other countries are forced to use another currency, that system doesn't work. Capitalism only works if you actually are forcing all the other countries to trade with you based on their currency, and they can devalue it. If people want to understand what arbitrage and how they actually deflate the currencies on a regular basis. If you're going to value the concept,
I mean, that's
capitalism
an
actually
issue of
works.
this. That's an issue of the central bank system. I very much agree. That's not
Yeah,
necessarily an inherent issue in free market capitalism, but it is with our current.
It's kind of
central
two
bank
separate
system.
issues.
Right.
Yeah, that's an issue with having a baseless currency backed by nothing. That has nothing to do with the mechanism of free trade.
Exactly.
The two are intertwined, though, in this current system, and it's been this way for a long time. I mean, that's how the Rockefellers and Rothschilds have, well, the Rothschilds, as I understand, control the money, you control the government.
There's
But
nothing forcing everybody to trade in fiat currency rather than trade in gold and silver or whatever else they find to be valuable.
True.
And the leech can be detangled from the legitimate, of having a medium of exchange.
This whole
You can have the
system's
good without
built
having to
around-
have the bad.
This whole system's built around this fiat currency. So, as far as we can see, turning it around, turning it on its head, making something else of it is not easily done. Other than this digital currency they're coming up with.
Well,
and
no,
there's
definitely not with that. That's definitely a step in the wrong direction.
But
I do agree. I agree that the dollar system, the central bank system, is it's inherently corrupt.
Well, it just shows how dysfunctional society is, because as different and maybe diverse the opinions are, divided we are on certain issues, you'd think anyone from any side of the aisle or whatever political affiliation, lack thereof, you would have one consistency. Everybody would be able to get on board and say, fuck it, we need a sound currency. Like, we're not going to have funny money in Monopoly games played with the currency reserve. And yet, it's not even the topic of discussion. So it just shows you how far down the river we are of propaganda and programming and just nonsense.
I think it's very possible. I think it's very possible we've got mindless people playing these parts, going through the motions, doing what their handlers tell them to do throughout the day. And these mindless people, I hold hope. I hold a little bit of hope and a little bit of faith that, and I don't know why, but I believe that there are some people in these positions of power and influence and authority alive today. I believe that there may be some who might want to try and bring forth different ideas, to try and convince the members of Congress, hey, this Federal Reserve central banking bullshit, that's not the solution. It's time to change.
But Jack, other than save the world from itself, right, Captain Save-A-Ho, what is our MO? Like, presuming we're all now on the land, we're a community, we have certain unifying base principles that we're going to extend this community off of. What is our motivation to convince other people to stop engaging in their personal choice and not just detach from it and live the way we know that we need to?
Well, it's a good question. I am of the belief that that there's no separation. I'm convinced of the unity of us all, and that an injury to one is an injury to the all. I believe that we have the potential and the capacity to actually solve most of the global problems. Most of the world problems could be addressed through cooperative efforts. We could find solutions and overcome a lot of things. So
but
why
isn't this more a grassroots, ground up scenario where we solve our own problems individually and then work together to solve communal problems, and then that extends outward once you embody the change, right? Then you
Lead by
become a
example.
reference point for other beings in the experience to say, hey, we like a little bit of that because that's better than this.
Leading by example, showing the abundance, showing a system that works where other people want to adopt that system. Yeah.
I know how I know how I've misstepped, but I have been trying to do that. I've been trying to show myself as abundant with peace and faith and gratitude and compassion. I've been trying to offer that example because, yes, I started with myself. I recognized I was the problem of my life. I needed to get myself under control. And then when I did, I realized it was actually kind of easy. I just had to get out of the way of God. And I know I haven't been, I know I have not been saintly or perfect by any stretch of comparison, but compared to where I was, dude, I'm fucking rocking niceness and kindness. This is like huge growth for me.
Sarah, you were wanting to say something?
Well,
I was. What was it, Justin?
Oh, I don't remember. I know you tried a couple times with lots of strong personalities here.
It's long gone. I don't remember. Keep going, Jack.
Sorry, there was one last point to answer what Paul said. The benefit of trying to address this rather than just going and creating something else. I've said it before.
Clean the empty the inside of the cup, sort of thing, or make sure the inside's clean too. You don't want a dirty cup.
No dirty cups.
Well, when I realized that I could have some control of my life, and then I realized the power of mind and imagination, and I thought, if God is real and if all things are possible, what would I want to do in this life? I've been wanting peace on earth ever since I started being, I was a kid and I learned of wars. So why not try? I actually think I've been learning enough about history and spirituality that these things make sense. Do I communicate it perfectly? Hell no. But it doesn't change the fact that we are all one time of history.
We're all one, but we all think differently. We have different objectives and different ideas of what is happiness and satisfaction, that unless we all had the exact same idea, we're not going to agree on everything.
Right. And I've been wondering, I'm sorry to interrupt. That brings up the question I've been wondering. Why are people so resistant to understanding me? So reluctant to accept me.
Because they think differently. They reach
What
different
makes
conclusions.
you perceive that folks are so resistant to understanding you, or that why do you presuppose that folks don't understand you?
I think everybody understands you, but everybody doesn't kind of sees it different, and that's okay. I think everybody has to accept it. It's okay.
Oh, Jack's like using understanding like policy.
It's okay for them.
Like, why won't you stand
I can
under
answer
me?
the question. I can't answer the question. The reason I say that is my life. I mean, we all have within us the want and the desire to be wanted. We all have that. Now, it's been like a long time, and I still don't know how to get find anyone who wants me in their lives besides this. And that's why I come on here every day. But this is not my life. I'm
Is it
entering your
possible
life.
that the desire is creating the suffering and that there's something deeper here that has to be looked at? Because to presume that everyone else is having the same experience as you and has
I
the
didn't
same
presume
level.
that. Well,
You said
I
we
presume
all
we're all
want.
experiencing time.
You said we all want to be wanted. So to presume that everybody has the same level of wantonness or neediness for
I didn't.
interaction or accept.
I didn't presume that, Paul. And I know you've got a disagreement based on that presumption, but
Not a
that's why I
disagreement. I'm asking a question. Is it possible that you are experiencing a overwhelming desire, a neediness, a wantonness to interact with others, and it's precisely that thing that is keeping you from interacting on deeper levels with others, pushes them away rather than as an attractor?
I would not describe it as an overwhelming desire by any stretch. Now, but in the past, and I've recognized that, I've admitted it. And in the past, there was time I was desperate. My fucking life was crumbling around me. I yelled at people and swore at them because I was needy. And but I don't see that I have an overwhelming. What I actually see is I'm just like everyone else. The distinction between me and everyone else, of course, is my life experience, the education I've had, the things I've learned. I'm no different than anybody else, and
Yeah, I'm
we
not
are
saying
no
you're
different than
different.
the Christ.
Okay. I'm not
Jack.
saying that you're different than anyone else. I'm saying that you're interpreting that folks don't love you, don't care about you, don't understand you.
Paul, have you seen your behavior towards me? Or have you been
None of my
ignoring that
behavior
completely?
indicates from beginning to end that I don't have a love or care for you. So
Hey,
we
Paul.
can cherry pick the various interactions and the highlighted
No,
content and the
Paul, you know what? I've appreciated your time and your participation here. It has been pleasurable, and I feel these have been great discussions. I do not want to devolve into an argument. I feel no desire to continue defending myself and explaining myself
that's the thing. You're
to
not.
people like you, Paul. Paul has been, for whatever reason, his character has chosen to play the role of an antagonist in my life rather than an encourager or supporter. So I don't need that nor want that in my life anymore. Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm going to say something that you're not going to like, so prepare yourself.
Oh shit, Dick's gonna back up.
How will I feel about it?
I agree with Paul's assessment here.
Oh shit.
And I've been in your shoes where I very much wanted the reciprocal love and devotion from someone else that it ended up pushing them away.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been in a situation where I've been paranoid and anxious and thought people didn't like me and they're doing all of these things, and I pushed them away because of my own paranoia. Even though they didn't want to go away, they actually liked me. It was all in my head. And how I got out of that was by finding love for myself. I became happy being alone. I no longer depended on my happiness. It didn't depend on anyone else. And now I'm okay if someone comes or if they go. I don't have that neediness. If they don't respond immediately, I'm not butthurt. I know they have a life. I know they have to do something that they're doing. They'll get back to me when they get back to me. But when you're needy, and me, not you, I mean general you, when someone is needy, they put that energy out into the world and it pushes the other person away, and they feel like an obligation to you, or they are obligated to you. And then that energy creates a dissonance and they want to distance themselves from you.
Yep. Understand. Very analytical, very accurate, is not actually applicable to what you're witnessing here. I'm not delusional about the behavior Paul has offered to me. The lack of kindness, compassion, respect, care, those have been quite visible and clear. So for me to distance him away, that's not unreasonable. Now, as for you resonating with what he was saying, okay.
Okay.
Well, how are you
Here's
going to
where
have
I'm at.
resolve, though? Because you keep throwing the past in his face, and I understand it's a wound, but at the same time, you've addressed it and you've set the boundaries, which I think is
The
fantastic.
past continues to exist, Dick.
Exactly. Until it's been acknowledged and amended,
Oh,
until
I wasn't
there's
seeing any of that tonight. I thought he was coming with,
contrition,
no.
Go look
acknowledgement,
at his
energy.
channel.
conviction.
He's still got videos about pants shitting. He's still, yeah, Dick. It's like you
Dick,
I
can't
was just
say
talking
that
about this.
somebody's reformed while they're still doing it. Right? It's
Right.
2
Fair
days
enough.
since he said.
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, and I haven't necessarily seen it, but this
Go
interaction here
die on
tonight
this
is
hill,
what I'm
Dick.
speaking
Tell you
about.
what, Dick.
I'm not talking about Paul in particular. I'm just talking about in general.
Okay. Okay, so yes, let's come back to that, and that's partly why I put Dick in the back. Dick has a way of just, I don't know what his agenda is. He speaks over people and interrupts and totally deflects from the conversation. And since I have met him and Paul, there's been Dick and Lou are probably the most clear of enablers of Paul's. They interrupt and boost what he's doing. So, Sarah, back to what you were saying, and what you're saying is applicable. It applies to many. Where I am coming from, I'm not needy. I am so filled with love. Okay. When I'm alone, but my reality is that I wonder why does no one want me in their lives? And when I say no one, I'm talking, it's maybe an exaggeration, but the people here in town who know that I'm a man of faith, they know that I'm trying to reunite with my son and trying to achieve justice. These people here in town, without explanation, just many excuses, they don't follow up and they have no time for me. Now, Paul Unslaved has been a part of my life for coming up almost on a year. He exaggerates. He's been calling it a year for about 4 months now. I'm exaggerating.
I've heard that. He's not lying.
What if your son decides he never wants to reestablish a relationship? Can you accept that as a reality?
How would I know?
You find contentment where you
I
are
have.
okay either way.
I have. Now, admittedly, I sent my son a text today. Well, I sent him one a few days ago, again, asking him, may we talk? And then I sent him a text today that said, if you can't find a reason for us to talk, you're obviously ignoring how close we used to be. And if you can imagine a future to, or I said it, if we, something about, I believe we can have an incredible future if he finds the gifts of faith, trust, and gratitude. Those are the keys to happiness. Those are the signs of love. Until he finds love, he will not have me in his life. I am a man of love. So for people to blame me and just assume my faults,
But
it
Jack,
really makes
when
me
I say
wonder.
something at the risk of fucking with your head a little bit, you told them what to do and what to think there in the text you just
So
told
what, Scott? So what? You haven't fucking offered me anything besides unhelpful advice and criticism. So what? If I
See,
had
guys.
someone who actually trusted, who actually cared and spent time with me in my life, I might be able to ask them about some of my ideas. But, and I'm not complaining, and I don't want this panel to turn negative. It's been a wonderfully fun productive conversation. But
Scott gave good advice there.
What was good about the criticism that I mentioned the future and the past? What was good about the advice?
The text that you sent your son was not just love. It was love and blame.
Oh. Blame.
And if you want somebody
well, okay, you know what? Tell you what should I do then? What helpful advice is anyone going to offer?
It depends on what you want out of the communication. If
what
you
do you
want,
think I want? I'm sorry.
I think you want. Well, the communication that you just told us about had two desires in it. One, reconnection, the one that you know about, and the other is a transfer of blame.
That's your interpretation, and you know what? Obviously not my intention. So for you to jump to an assumption that I want to blame, that's on you. Okay, I'm learning the ego. I don't wish blame, but I do wish for the truth to be known. And the truth is gratitude, trust, faith. Those are all gifts that God has allowed us to discover.
Jack?
Yes, ma'am.
Even with love, faith, and trust, sometimes people don't return.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for pointing out the obvious, Sarah. I mean,
I know.
I know you don't. I know you're trying to be helpful, but Sarah, literally, the only thing that I have been trying to achieve for 5 years is simply conversations with people who used to be in my life. Now, it's not just
I
my
understand.
So, no, you say you do. And Sarah, please,
I haven't spoken to a man that I love in 4 years.
What I'm talking about is the totality. It's not just one being. Now, it's real easy. Yep. And, I'm going to wrap this up. And I don't want to be rude.
Okay. No, we're okay.
But, I want to wrap this up because I've explained these things before. The truth, people can accept the truth or reject the truth. I try to explain what is truthful. I believe God is with all of us, and that includes me. Now, the people in my physical reality, I think I saw Margot in the chat earlier. The people who were in my physical reality are convinced that there is no good in me. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I believe that facts actually matter. And my faith is in God. I want to thank you guys for your time. Please, any last words?
No, I just want to say praise God. I don't want to even get into anything because it's kind of went way left since I joined. So
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
This is a hard area. It's a very emotional and personal area. And all I can say is you can only reach out, but you can't make someone respond.
I know.
And if you go into it not expecting anything, it will be much less painful if they don't respond.
Amen. One of the things I brought up, though, earlier is the fact that the same messages can be communicated by another being that might not be received by the first one. Okay? My attempts at communication have all failed. They've been rejected, refused, blocked. Even with Paul, I've been attempting to communicate, and I've been hopeful that maybe someone might be willing to help. But he's obviously not interested.
And has he intentionally put up a boundary? Has he specifically asked you to not reach out?
Yes. He's told me do not email him, do not and he blocked me from his panel from the chat for a while. But I don't go to him as often anymore because of the disrespect, and he retaliated, campaigned against me, and this guy literally in the past few days, in the past week, him and OTW spent hours bad mouthing me and encouraging people to unsubscribe, to try and create my failure. And then when I put him to the back because I'm seeing the same patterns of behavior, I see people defending him, which is you, Sarah. You did that.
Yeah.
Jack,
I have a different perspective than you on this particular situation. And that will occur a lot.
Well,
and
God
I
is
will
going to reveal
say,
what's true.
in this journey that we're all going through, the journey where we ascend, one of the hardest parts is the loss of attachments.
Yeah.
Because
Amen.
that is part of this. And we will be stripped of it and be tested of it. And we will have every one of our fucking enemies come out and try and ruin us. That is
Amen.
part of the tribulation. And you have to learn to ignore the bullshit, but also recognize when we're lying to ourselves.
Okay. Yes, that is an important key. And I'm constantly asking myself, am I lying to myself? Okay. Now, admittedly, I have had zero other perspectives in my life that actually care about me and my success, clearly. Now, there's been people who
I would
say
say
they
you
do.
have
Here, let me
1.51 thousand people.
I know.
that love you.
God bless. I'm always wrong, and everyone's so quick to find a reason to make me wrong. But Sarah, here's the point.
We love you, Jack.
I know you too. People don't know what you just described about the tribulation and going through these losses, experiencing the lack of attachment. I have said this. This is my life. God allowed me to lose everyone and everything I've worked my entire life to care for. It's all gone. Okay. So God has allowed me that experience personally, Sarah, so that I could learn how to detach from the world. So I am not part of the world, but I am here in the world, and I am offering people that I believe there's opportunities. You know, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just suggesting to each and anyone who may listen, there's ways to improve your life. And in your life, there's going to be others around you who don't have it as good as you. And it's an opportunity that God has bestowed upon you, blessings, maybe the advantage of going through a darkness that someone else is currently in. We've all got things and wisdom we can share with each other in our short times as being. We're here to love. I'm going to wrap it up. Please, anything?
No. I love you,
Thank
Jack.
Love
I'll
you
be back
too.
tomorrow.
If I am, please, J-Hub, I'm gonna.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We're here for you, Jack.
I know.
don't know.
I know.
Yeah, we're here for you, Jack. I mean, it sucks. I don't know. Like, I feel like the whole interaction today, with Paul, it was like, I know it was a lot of prior stuff, but if that stuff would even the interaction today compared to your other interactions with him is not even on the same level as the other ones, right? But it's like
You're
because of
right.
the other ones, you already had a preconceived notion of what it was. So if it's to that point, to me, don't even let him up. You know what I mean? Because he came in today calm, cool, collected,
Yes, he did. Yep.
trying to have
Today
a
was
real conversation. He came in, asked the question, and stood back. I was like, whoa, what the hell? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the passion and stuff wasn't even there, but it's like it was
Hey,
already, you know what I'm saying? But
respect.
that's the only thing I
Thank you,
gotta
Jay.
say.
Have a
You
beautiful
good.
evening, my friend. Thank you. And brothers and sisters, to those who did join the panel, sincerely thank you. And that does include Paul and Slave. Today was a welcomed change of energy. And today I will accept responsibility for my choices, because yeah, I guess I am, as Jahab pointed out, I am carrying some of the past behind. There's been a lot of unacceptable things said and done to me in my life, and I'm still doing my best to heal from the wounds and to overcome the past challenges, because I didn't ask for my career to end. I didn't ask for my son to be convinced to start avoiding me. I didn't ask for my friends to start gossiping about me, but this is the life I've been given. Praise God. Praise God, brothers and sisters. Today was another beautiful day here for me in the gorgeous Pacific Northwest. Sun was shining, the clouds were out, the trees are just starting to change colors. You know, the cool, crisp evenings are setting in. There is little I can think of better than being alive, because it does feel good to be alive. And there is when you can allow yourself, see, loving it by yourself, I'm actually feeling empowered, feeling alone right now, because we can all do this. As we allow our inner self to detach and just become one with the entity of being, you can feel the life force. You can consciously move the energy up from your base of your spine and up through into activating your heart, moving up through into your mind. And then by bringing your energy up, showing an effort to open up to the divine, you can then, through the intentions of reception, acceptance, and receiving, you can feel and imagine and sense the divine light flowing down through you, into you, bringing forth the wisdom and the energy to ground into Mother Earth, to ground into the beingness of today, and to recognize I am one with what is right now. Brothers and sisters, till next time, please stay one with what is true for you, loving for you. And I honestly believe if you can find within you the determination, the will, and the intention, if you can find within yourself the clarity and the purpose to have faith and love. Why are you doing that? Oh, because love. Why are you doing that? Oh, I got faith in greater love, greater life, greater success, greater abundance, greater prosperity. Have faith and love and move yourself forward through time. Thank you again, brothers and sisters. Please do the subscribe thing, notification, and tune in for next time. We'll see. Live without fear. Thank you.